Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nick Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Hardik Chodavadia, and I'm probably got that a little off there, but I'm so excited to visit with him. It sounds like he's had quite an exciting journey through to get to where he is today, and I can't wait to hear more about it. He graduated from Penn State, then went to dental school at UT in San Antonio, and is now a dentist in Austin, and has a love of pizza. So maybe we can even spin off on some pizza there a little 100%. Bit. But Hardik, can you give people a little more deeper understanding of what it is you do and work-wise and where you're at and what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like you mentioned, I went to dental school in San Antonio, so I am a dentist, right? Like that is like the one thing that I'd say I have an official degree, like I'm actually certified to do. We have a group of practices in mostly in the Austin area. Actually today is our grand opening for our 10th office. So awesome. we got our first patient. We just got one on the schedule, but it counts. That's what I say.
Sure.
But yeah, so we have a 10 location group of general dentistry offices, mostly based in Austin. We have one outside of Dallas, and we started our first office back in 2016. The dream wasn't necessarily ever to have like a group like this necessarily, but we were really blessed and lucky to have a lot of success quickly at our first location. Our plan, there's two of us. We'd started a de novo dental office with no patients and two dentists working there full time. So we're like, there's no way this thing can support both of us, right? Sure. And so, we always had to plan to have like two of them, and we'll manage them and work together, me and my partner. And then, opportunities presented themselves, and we've been kind of slowly growing the group since 2016.
Awesome. Good stuff. So there's a lot of dentists out there, a lot of competition. What is something you feel sets you apart that's helped you guys have so much success?
Yeah, so this is it's such a good question, and for a long time I struggled how to answer that question, right? Because I genuinely believe most dentists are pretty good, right? I think most of us are trying to take care of our patients the best that we possibly can, do good quality work, and to be honest, when we started our first office, being like a cool, modern looking new office, I thought was a differentiating factor, right? Back in 2016. Right. Sure. Fast forward now to 2025, that's not right. If you go to a new dental office, they're all super nice, and honestly, they may be even nicer than ours, right? Everyone has TVs, everybody has Netflix. They have all of these little things to make it feel more comfortable, and I think those things are necessary too. But what I tell our team is like the big thing that will set us apart isn't all the extra stuff, right? Everyone likes the cool stuff. It's impressive. It makes it easier, but ultimately it's how do we establish a connection with our patients when they're walking in?
Relationships, right? Yeah,
exactly, right. I think it's really easy when you're seeing patients day to day to kind of disconnect yourself, right? But I think if you really see the person in front of you and actually work with them, listen to the person, and this is something we train our dentists on, right? It's like we have our dentist hat and we want to do the dentist stuff that we want to do, but we got to listen to the person and see how you can work together to align on goals, right? And I think that today is what I would tell you our differentiating factor is. Now, there's a lot of other things that are kind of cooking in the pipeline that I think will make us differentiate ourselves further. And again, they're not like having more TVs or having give you a massive gift at the end. It's like the idea of a lot more transparency and communication in a lot of things that we do, because I think that is really missing in healthcare overall.
For sure. No, especially in this day and age that everything's become quick, order online, very transactional. If you can get in and be more intentional with the relationships and have those details, I'm excited to hear how that works out. So has there been something that that came easy to you that maybe others find challenging?
So I think it's that connection piece. I'm me and my partner, we screwed a lot of stuff up at the beginning, right? If you tell me operations, back end, insurance, like all AR, all that stuff was like a mess, right? But we were still extremely profitable because of like how we just talked to and treated people, and like really just we're so hyper focused on like what it feels like when you walk in the door, and like how my conversation with you, and like we were able to, like, you know, like you said, build relationships pretty quickly, and like you know, we're not perfect. Our office is not for everybody, right? Like then, and it's like I think it was a reflection of us being ourselves, right? Like we weren't trying to be somebody else necessarily, but we really like, I think that's, you know, that was the one thing that I think we really got right.
That's awesome. And I think that relationship part and being yourself, because I don't know about dental school. I went to school to be a physical therapist before I got into what commercial real estate that I'm doing now, but they don't teach the business side. And I don't know if dental side, so you come out, yeah, you may be a great dentist, but you've also got to keep your lights on. And, you know, I think
Exactly.
that's something medical, dental, you know, a therapist, whatever it is, they having a little bit of that business. And I encourage friends of mine whose children are going to med school, even my daughter who's wanting to go to law school, I'm like, take a couple of finance or economic
Hmm.
classes so you know the business side of it. You may get in there and be the best lawyer, dentist, doctor, whatever it is, but if you're not watching your books, you may not be in business very long.
Yeah. And I think communication, like they don't do a good job of teaching that either, right?
Yeah.
Like I think how well can we communicate? I think I wish one of the things that I'd say the same thing to like younger dentists or like just anybody that go into school is like invest some time in learning how to communicate, because it's a skill, right? There are people that are just good at it, right? But most people
Naturally.
that are great at it have worked for it, right? They've
Yeah.
worked at it. And I think like there's so many resources, and especially nowadays, there's like so many easy to access resources to, like, if you want to get better at something, you can, right?
Well, that's great. Well, that feeds right into my next question. If somebody's listening, wants to get better at doing something, communicating, or maybe business, health, do you have any tips, any books or podcasts, anything that you've leaned on?
Yeah, I think I think in terms of marketing and some so certain like marketing related systems, I think the Alex Ramosi, like $100 million leads, like his whole series is fantastic, right?
Mhm.
I think it teaches a lot of really basic concepts that in a really simple way that a lot of times people overcomplicate, right? I think like Buy Back Your Time, the Dan Martell book, I think is
Yeah.
fantastic. I think that is a really, really good one. And communication, oh my God, Radical Candor, Kim Scott, I think is a really good communication book. I think like for me, I like before I was doing dentistry, right before I decided to go to dental school, I was I did computer science like all throughout high school, and like I did bioinformatics, like biological research, which was just coding, right? Like I was
Yeah.
coding, making programs to do like analysis, right? So it's a really, I think it creates, like, if you're very systematic, or if their brain is like works that way, then it's a really good way to kind of compartmentalize how you want to like be aware of how you communicate. And those like three really good ones just right off the bat.
That's awesome. Yeah. So definitely, took a note on the Radical Candor. All the other books I've heard, but that one I'll have to look into. Uh,
It's a great one.
awesome. Well, what is one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career or in your path?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think there's two big, like, well, three, right? Like there's the challenge of just starting the business and getting it going. I think that's everybody, right? I think that
Mhm.
is like, it just takes a lot of preparation, hard work, and really like if you want to get something off the ground quickly, like that is just a monumental challenge in and of itself. I think in the business, the biggest challenge you face as a business is, to be honest, like we trusted the wrong person, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, we had someone who was a very integral part of our business, and it was a good lesson that we learned, because that person had their hands in like each, like too many things, like all the departments, where they were just like
Uh,
they're like the web was weaved into like so many things that even though they were, I mean, works hard, pretty like a toxic person, like to separate someone that has kind of ingrained themselves in so many pieces is really difficult, right? And the we were able to remove this person because we found out he stole a bunch of money, right? Through different ways, and you know, I think through some like payroll related like funny business because that person ran payroll, right? So I think that was a really big lesson in one, like the person that should have the hands in most things is you, the business owner,
Sure.
right? But like everyone should have their role, right? Like I think when when two people are wearing too many hats, one, they can't do the thing that they're supposed to be doing the best. And like situations like this happen where now like you are in a bind if something happens, right?
Yeah,
Because
by removing them, you removed a lot of different pieces.
yeah, and I think character is like such an important thing too, right? Like where like
For sure.
I think when someone doesn't speak honestly and doesn't when they don't have the best interest of your team at heart, right, and the people that they work with, then that's probably a problem, right? I think surrounding it,
Sure.
especially on the leadership side, like we're all self-motivated, right? If you're a high performer, like you're motivated because you want to do well, right? But like when it comes to running a team, like you want your leaders to be selfless to a certain degree, right? Because the result for me as a leader isn't it happens when everybody else is rewarded, right?
That's awesome. For
uh,
sure.
and trying to find people like that, I think it's hard, right? And you have to incentivize people correctly, and there's a whole thing, there's probably like there's a huge whole science behind all that stuff too. But I think just
Sure.
like finding good character people that you're proud to work with is huge, and I think it creates like a level of peace even if things aren't going well, right? Things, if you're working with people that are toxic, or they're very like cutthroat to a certain degree, where like they're out for themselves only, like even if things are going well, there's just a baseline of anxiety that all exists, right? Because you just don't know and you can't trust what someone says, and that's hard, right?
Yeah, and that's tough. Well, and coming back to when you start a business that's an entrepreneur, a new business, you are wearing every hat. But then
Yeah.
nowadays, I think there's fractional CPAs, fractional. So you can start with
Mhm.
smaller ones and start taking some of those, because eventually, as an entrepreneur, to grow, you've got to give up some of your
100%.
areas. But I like what you're saying, is that do it in pieces or lanes, so you don't get one. It may look good to bring one person in to take all this stuff off, but if they don't work out,
Yeah.
it's like that. That's a good lesson for people to take in.
Yeah, when one person holds the keys, you don't hold the keys anymore, right? Another person
Very,
holds too many, you don't have it. So that's
very
not a
true.
position you want to be in.
Very true. So it sounds like things are going pretty well for you and your business. And as more and more as people start having more success, they start considering creating passive income out in their future, either to enhance their current income but potentially one day to replace some of it. Or what are your thoughts on passive income?
I think it's something I wish I started earlier, right?
Sure.
I think we've been so hyper focused on the business that I personally, between like work, business and family, like really haven't done much outside of it, right? If you ask my business partner, he's done a ton of that kind of stuff, and it's great, right? Because he's created so much value outside of the business, right? And so that's actually one of my biggest regrets, is like not really taking the time, because I was so focused on doing that
Yeah,
bit, like working on the business. Because I mean, like my best ROI is still going to be that, right? But I think like if you can be disciplined and create security, and then I think it helps you operate from a different place, even in your own business too,
for
right? So
sure.
I'll say one of my regrets is not doing that kind of stuff earlier. There in our business, like we have periods where there's a lot of cash flow, and right now we just opened two brand new offices, so I don't got much cash flow right now because we're paying
Sure.
for two brand new offices, right? And so like, I think that's a good lesson for me, even like that I've learned, is like being a little bit more cognizant of like not assuming you're always going to have crazy growth too, right?
Yeah.
And
No,
and if
planning on those dips that are going to
yeah,
come.
and like we're economically things are sketchy nowadays, right? Like it's not as it's not 2019 where I'm like 40% growth year over year without
Sure.
even trying too hard, and so that's something that I've reflected back on, is I think it's something that you want to be disciplined on, right? And you want to invest in those things. If I have a hard time sometimes when I don't understand something, right? And so I think that's where another place where I think there's a really big opportunity for young people who are like wanting to plan for the future, is to not only educate themselves on their profession, but if educate themselves on opportunities like this, like especially if you're going into like a high earning potential like profession, like if you're going to
Sure.
become a physician or like a surgeon or something like that, you're going to have a lot of income, right? So you like it's probably smart to at least educate yourself on some of that stuff, so you don't make the wrong investments too.
For sure. No, great stuff. So as we're wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the works for the next 6-12 months? Sound like y'all just opened a couple of offices, so
Yeah.
that's probably going to be pretty
Not
focused
yeah.
on for a while.
Nothing exciting, and I'm excited about it.
That's sometimes relaxing and just being calm for a period is nice.
we have a lot of work to do, and it's a lot of boring work to just get things running efficiently. Going from 8 to 10 is still like an operational lift, right? So I think for me, the big exciting thing that we're going to be working on for the next couple quarters is being really conscious about branding certain pieces of our experience a little bit better, right? Because I think at scale we need better systems on what, like, our group is called enamel dentistry, right? What is the enamel dentistry patient experience? Like, really defining it, like really diving in how we train, and then like talking about it publicly, right? Because that, like, no one talks about it in dentistry. Like, why? I have a great experience. Like, what does that mean? Right? Let's talk about it. This is what you should expect. This is how we teach people how to say hi to people, right? I think on the billing side, really branding our billing experience, because I think that's something no one ever does, right? Like, being as transparent about, this is what we're sending, this is what we're doing, this is the responses that we're getting, and like that way that things don't always work out with insurance, right? Like, it just is what it is. But as a patient, like, what we've been working on for the past 3 months trying to get this paid, right?
Yeah, you guys are putting time into it.
Yeah, and I think communicating with our patients is work, but I mean, what a value, right? Like, we spend a lot of effort on it, and like, this is the patient's money too, right? So I think if we can communicate that and be transparent about it, and like, I want to talk about it, right? I want to talk about it outwardly as like when I said, like, these are the things I think could differentiate us from the marketplace, from us. It's not, the office is nice, like, but it's like, how am I keeping you a part of the process and having you informed in what's going on?
That's great. Yeah. Because they can get really confusing, the whole insurance process and any health and, dental health, just because a lot of back and forth, and it's maybe 3 to 6 months down the road, and people are like, well, what did I even have done back then? What was the procedure?
We had a claim we were fighting for 6 months for a patient, right? And ultimately we did like 4 appeals. I talked to like multiple consultants on the insurance side, and they just wouldn't budge, even though even to their admission, it may have been medically necessary, but it doesn't fall within our guidelines, right? And so if a patient gets a bill after that 6 months later, I will be pissed too, right?
Yeah.
But because I didn't know, I just assume incompetence, right? Like, why, right? Like, that's perfectly, I would do, that's my first thought, right? And so I think that's like a big, it's like I said, it's not exciting, but I'm excited about it.
No, I think it's great stuff. Well, Hardicast, we're wrapping up. Thank you. I want to kind of close out. Thank you so much for your time today and your insights and your tips. If people would like to reach out to you and get in contact, what's the best way for them to do that?
Honestly, find me on social media, at Dr. Harcho, at DRHARCHO. You can follow me there and just shoot me a message. That's probably the easiest way. I'm on Instagram a little bit too much, so,
Yeah, I know that can suck you in, right? Well, thanks everyone for joining us on the Flex Forward podcast. Please like and share, and pass this along. And if you know anybody that'd like to join us, have them reach out also. And thanks again. Thanks for joining. I really had a great time visiting with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick. Thank you for having me. Thanks for letting me yap around.
Hey, I love it.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.